Good afternoon, everyone. We are back in DHL Transportation Forum 2021. I'm Sergio Morales, Director of the Business Development in DHL Supply Chain, and welcome to our new session, which is Engines of Development in Latin America. And we have Claudia. Good afternoon.
How's it going, Serge? How's it going, everyone? This is Claudia Marquez. I'm a senior manager on design solution for DHL Supply Mexico. It is a pleasure to be here with you in this session. Let me remind you that in our virtual broadcast, all conferences can be followed in three languages: English, Portuguese, and Spanish. You can click on the language you prefer when you see it on your screen.
We invite you to share on social networks this experience, photos of the event, choices you want to address, or your own perspective on logistics. All opinions are well received. Please add the hashtag DHL2021 in your posts so we can keep on with the conversation and share them with our global network.
Our following conference will give us a vision on the factors that drive the transportation sector in a region. And I couldn't think of anyone better for that than our CEO for the Latin American region and global leader of transportation in DHL Supply Chain, Javier Bilbao. With over 20 years of experience in the logistics sector, Javier has performed in several positions in DHL Supply Chain, witnessing the behavior of our company alongside the development of talent in an environment of respect. He leads over 40,000 collaborators that face the day-to-day of the challenges of the sector, always with the mission of the company. Together, unstoppable. Let us welcome Javier Bilbao.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Hello.
Un saludo a todos.
Hi, everyone, and it's a pleasure. It's an honor to be here once again with all the team. Last year we had this virtual format, and this year we are a little bit closer to getting used to, but still very impacted by the pandemic. But anyway, we are happy that we're managing to move on and to thrive and in this transportation sector, how we're taking advantage of it for not only adapt to what has happened, but also to move on and to learn and to go forward. Things that we knew were about to come, but things are happening faster than was expected.
It is a pleasure, Javier, and alongside Javier, we will have participating in the session our Vice President of Transportation of DHL Supply Chain for Mexico and Latin America, Juan Carlos Aberman. Juan, welcome.
Thank you, Sergio. Clau. Javier, how are you? Welcome. It's very nice to have you again, and sadly that it has been 1 year now that we're having virtual conferences, but still, hugs to there.
Un placer, Juan. El cuarto
It is a
año,
pleasure,
por lo
Juan.
menos, ya no sé, ya
At
pierdo
least the
el
fourth
control
year,
de las veces, ¿no?
I've
Pero creo que
already
es el
lost
cuarto año
control.
que
I don't
participo
even know when it
el
is
Transport
right now.
Forum
This is the fourth
directamente.
year I've participated directly in
Y esta vez,
Transportation
como
Forum.
comentas, Juan, desde Colombia,
And
desde
like you say,
Bogotá,
Juan, from Colombia, from
viene en el
Bogota,
corazón de la región de
this is the
Latinoamérica.
heart of the
Así
region of
que
Latin
feliz
America,
también de poder
and I
aportar
am very
esa
happy
visión regional.
to contribute with this regional vision.
Well, um, we have been like we're in the half of the day, very intense day, very pleasant day, and we had a panel with Agustin and other customers, and we had the panel on economics, and now we'll have a very pleasant talk with you, like in the engines that move on this Latin American region forward. And when we were discussing to set this talk, it called my attention, like how the intention is to make it like simple and to talk about what's happening in the region and how things are moving and which will be these engines to move forward in the region. And we were talking about some points that may be the base for this talk, and one of the most important, in my opinion, is like the part of sustainability, everything regarding the green technologies, and we present again our our 100% electric units, and also the units will have with gas gas driven units, and these technologies which I know being implemented in Brazil. We are purchasing electric units also in Colombia to expand our fleet, and I would like to hear from you. How do you see the sustainability aspect? Why do you think that this is one of the engines that will move us forward, and how through these technologies we can keep being leaders in the services we deliver?
Perfecto, Juan. Y la verdad
Perfect,
es
Juan.
que es un tema del que llevamos hablando en el
Truth be
mundo de la
told, we have
logística
been
durante
talking
muchos
about this
años,
subject in the logistics
que
world
cada vez
for
más
many
la
years.
sustentabilidad iba a cobrar importancia.
Sustainability becomes
Y yo creo que
increasingly
estábamos todos quizás
important,
hasta un
and
poco
I think
frustrados de lo
we were
lento
a
en que
bit
se estaba
frustrated
produciendo
in
ese
terms of
avance.
how slowly the
Y
advancements were
antes, en esa
taking place.
primera muy
And
breve
in
introducción,
this very
comentaba
brief
cómo
introduction, I said
el COVID y todas las implicaciones que ha
I
tenido
said that COVID
ha
and all
hecho
the
que algunas de las
repercussions
tendencias se
stemming from
aceleraran
it
y
shock,
una de las que vemos
sends
que
a shock
claramente
way
se
of
ha acelerado es
accelerating
ese
trends,
foco
and one
en
we've
la
seen had
sustentabilidad.
acceleration is
Yo creo que nos ha hecho a todos
sustainability.
reflexionar un
I think it
poco,
has made us reflect
considerar el
on
impacto también que está
certain
teniendo
things, certainly
las
the
diferentes
impact
catástrofes
it has
medioambientales, etcétera,
on the
y
environmental
muchas de las inversiones que se están
catastrophes.
poniendo en marcha a lo
Many of
largo
the
del mundo para
investments being
recuperar la
made around the
actividad
world to
económica,
recover
etcétera, tienen ese
economic
vínculo con
activity
actividades
are
medioambientales.
deeply
Y
related to these
afortunadamente,
environmental
aunque
activities.
siempre nos cuesta un poquito más en Latinoamérica adaptarnos
Sometimes it is harder
a
to
esos cambios que van llegando.
adapt ourselves in
La
Latin
velocidad
America
con la
to
que
the
lo hacemos
upcoming
cada vez es
changes.
mayor. Y
The
es
speed
cierto que
at
vamos
which we
viendo,
do so
comentabas, Juan,
becomes
esas
faster and
inversiones
faster,
que
and
se están haciendo
like
ya
you
en
said,
México.
Juan, there are
Hemos
already
comentado los
investments in
camiones
place
SPEC
in Mexico.
jornadas anteriores.
We heard about the
Pero también
new
estamos viendo
pieces of
a lo largo de la
equipment.
región. En Colombia tenemos
And
ya
across the
algunos
region, for
vehículos.
example, in Colombia we have
Chile también.
certain
Y en Brasil
vehicles, in
tenemos
Chile
la
and in
flota
Brazil.
mayor,
In Brazil
de
we
toda
have
la
the
región
largest
en
fleet in the
cuanto a
whole
vehículos
region
eléctricos. Ya
when it
estamos
comes to
alrededor de
electric
100
vehicles.
vehículos.
We're around 100
Acabamos de
electric vehicles.
empezar a trabajar con ya un camión de 7,5 toneladas
We've already worked
totalmente
with a
eléctrico que ya va tomando
7.5
peso,
tons
¿no? Ya no es
completely
solamente la
electric
última
truck,
milla, ya
and
no
it's
son
gaining
solamente envíos
importance. This is
menores,
not just the
sino que
last
empezamos
mile
a
or
ver
minor
ya vehículos con más tonelaje.
shipments. We are seeing it in larger
Lo
capacity
más reconfortante es ver
units.
la ilusión y los
What's
planes que hay
comforting
detrás
to see is
por
the
los equipos
illusion and the
de
plans
querer ya
behind it from
duplicar
the teams.
esa flota que tenemos en Brasil.
The
y que eso
intention
nos
is to
sirva un poquito
duplicate
de
the
empuje a
fleet
todos,
in
¿no?
Brazil, and hopefully that will represent a
En
thrust
este caso,
for
Juan,
everyone. In this
quiero
case,
ver
Juan,
Brasil empujando y
I want to see
liderando
Brazil
y demostrando
being the
que se puede hacer
spearhead by
de la misma manera en la
showing it
que
can be
México
done,
nos ha estado ayudando
just like
también
Mexico
en el
has been
desarrollo
helping us in the
de las
development
redes,
of
en tener el primer control
networks,
tower,
having the first
muchos
control
ejemplos
tower,
que hemos podido replicar a
many
la región, Juan.
examples we have put in practice in the region.
Javier, and like to interconnect the subjects here, you just mentioned some important points that we identified before, and one of these engine in which we are talking about sustainability, but also networks. And when we started with the talks this morning, I was talking to the audience saying that how we expanded this in Colombia and also the fleet we have in Brazil. We know the results Perfect Lane has had in Mexico. And how do you think the usage of the networks should be incorporated to the sustainability aims and goals we have? How do these interconnect to create a thriving engine in the region?
Perfecto. Estamos
Right.
asistiendo a un
So
cambio de tendencias y de
we are
necesidades del
witnessing a change in
mercado
trends and the needs
increíblemente
in the
rápido,
market
¿no?
that is incredibly fast.
Yo creo que sobre todo lo ha impulsado todo el tema
It has
de
been mainly
e-commerce.
driven by
Con la
e-commerce,
llegada
I would
de
say,
COVID, tener que quedarnos todos en casa,
and with the COVID
esa
situation,
necesidad
having
de
to
que se
stay
nos
at home,
distribuyese directamente a nuestros
it created a
domicilios
need
ha
that
crecido de una manera
was very
espectacular
relevant to us
y
in
eso ha
the
llevado
trend
toda una
grew
serie
quite
de cambios
spectacularly,
asociados,
and it
¿no?
has entailed
El-
other changes, of course.
Yo creo que por un lado el concepto de una
On the one hand,
logística
the
dedicada
concept of a
específica
logistics
para cada uno de
dedicated
los clientes
specifically to each
cada
of our
vez
customers
tiene menor importancia y eso hace que empecemos a
starts
mirar
losing
a
importance,
recursos
and it makes
compartidos,
us take a look
a
at
ese
shared
efecto
resources,
de red
at
que en
the
el
network
transporte
effect we were
tiene
talking about.
beneficios tan
And
claros,
in
¿no?
transportation, it
El-
represents very clear benefits,
Esto conlleva mejor utilización de los recursos,
such
mejor
as better
utilización
utilization of
de los
resources,
retornos,
better
el
returns,
poder planificar de forma conjunta las
being able
necesidades
to
de
plan
diferentes,
jointly for the
clientes,
needs of
pero
certain
no descubro mucho
customers.
nuevo en este sentido, ya es
But I'm
algo
not saying anything new.
se venía trabajando en el
This is
mundo del
something we
transporte,
had been
durante
working in the
muchos años.
transportation world
Quizás a
for
lo que
many
estamos,
years already.
evolucionando
Perhaps
a
the
un
next
paso
step
más
in the
es
evolution
a
is
las redes conectadas entre sí, esa red de
interconnected
redes
networks, the net
y
of
las
networks,
capacidades que esas torres de control
and the
conectadas, ¿no? El
capacities
Connected
that
Control
the
Tower que
connected
introdujimos el
control
año
tower
pasado,
has. We
que
introduced it last year.
nos ayudan a través de una gestión de datos
It
mucho más
helps us
potente, a
through
través
the
de
management of a more
las
powerful
capacidades
management
de
of
mayores
data,
eficiencias,
greater
de coordinación de
capacities for
recursos, etcétera,
efficiency, of
que poder
coordination of
manejar,
resources
todos estos datos
that
de
help
forma
us
acelerada,
handle this data in a
etcétera,
much
nos
accelerated
permiten
fashion,
ejecutar ahora que antes no era,
and that
no era tan
allows us
fácil
to
de hacer, ¿no?
execute in a way that before we couldn't.
And you were mentioning something important as well, the net of networks and sustainability and how the efficiency is improved when we use different networks and how we interconnect them. And also, one of the difficult questions that sometimes they make me investments. Well, there's still some vehicles that they're out there in the market, and these vehicles are still like more expensive, hybrid vehicles, like comparing them with diesel vehicles, and not necessarily you can find a good balance like cost, sustainability and benefits. Even though we know it's something that we needed to do, sometimes it's hard. And in a company like ours that owes itself to our customers, we need to find ways to reduce costs and make a better efficiency, but finding that formula, it's complicated. How do you think DHL will approach these sustainability investments to buy these kind of equipments that have been developed recently, and where are we heading to as a region? How can we find this balance?
Perfecto, Juan. La verdad es que,
Very well, Juan.
en línea con ese mensaje anterior de que cada vez
Aligned
hay
with your
una
previous
conciencia
message
mayor de la
saying that
importancia
there
que
is an
tienen todos
increasing
estos,
awareness on the
estas
importance
inversiones y
these
desarrollos alrededor
investments and
de lo que es la
developments around
sostenibilidad, las
sustainability
grandes
has,
compañías,
the
vemos que están queriendo hacer un
largest
esfuerzo,
companies, we see they
más allá
are
de lo
making
que
an
hasta ahora
effort
quizás habíamos estado dispuestas, ¿no? Entonces,
beyond
por
what
un
we
lado,
had been
mirando hacia
doing
adentro,
already. So
DHL
when we look on the
ha hecho
inside,
público
DHL to the public realm,
hecho un esfuerzo con un compromiso.
a big effort
Por un
has
lado,
been
primero,
made with
en
huge
asegurar que
commitment on
para
the one hand
2050,
to ensure
todas
that
nuestras operaciones,
by
sean
2050
de
all of our
emisión cero,
operations will be zero
consigamos,
emissions.
actuar de una manera en la que realmente
We want
nuestra
to
día a día no
act in
compense
such a
con
way
nuestras
that
actividades,
contributes
sino
to
que
the
simplemente
goal.
nuestra actividad realmente sea de emisiones cero
and truly help us be zero emissions. And for that, we have set ourselves some goals until 2030 that are to be a bit more tangible. Among them, we have investments. As an organization, globally speaking, it includes 7 billion euros, 7 billion euros, simply for activities that reduce CO2 emissions. Fortunately, though, Latin America is a main part of this effort. We have been making investments associated with this subject, but we also see big companies like some of our customers are equally committed to making the same bet. Through DHL, they want to make sure that not only that the cost is not bigger when it comes to electric investments, creating knowledge, infrastructure, and even visibility to the effort being made. Hopefully, by the end of my intervention, we can have some time to show you a video, one of the many we have shown already, and one of the many we have. This is an example with a customer. I said before that Brazil is a spearhead in this regard in Latin America, and our pharmaceutical customers, we are creating routes with electrical vehicles.
Well, Javier, and other of the elements that we have discussed in the regional teams we have here, and adding to the mechanisms that we have already mentioned as thriving engines like sustainability, the net of networks, investment, and personally I like and I believe very strongly on diversity and diversity of equipment, and how really our differences make us stronger. That's why we have the Together Unstoppable theme. And how do you think this is integrated in the formula in Thriving Engine for growth? We know diversity is not only men and women, it's much more than that. How do you think that integrates into our regional strategy?
Sí, mira, por un lado,
On the one hand, I would say that what is more directly aimed to us as an organization or as an industry, logistics is growing increasingly. We need more and more resources. We need more people joining the logistics world. And we can no longer bet on such a little group like the one we used to have. We have to broaden our scope of talent out of which we can nurture ourselves. In the same vein, it is pretty obvious that we have a main deficiency to fill: the problem with gender equality. We have an industry in which female presence is well below the social levels, and even though we are making advancements and we are increasing the percentage, there is still a very long way to go. In DHL, in the region, we are around 35% of women. In the industry, we have been increasing the number year after year. However, I am very happy to see that we are doing it in a sustainable way for the future. We are betting on young talents. We're attracting women to our trainees program. We provide them with the opportunity of integrating to the logistics environment and help them grow and accumulate experience, knowledge, capacities, and so on. However, we're also paving the way for people who come from a more complicated origins, if I may, when it comes to education and formation. We give them this opportunity internally to acquire knowledge and capacities that externally perhaps they cannot reach so easily. These would be the groups where objectively we can carry out specifically focused activities, also working on creating a warm environment open to everyone's contributions, and I mean everyone participating in the company, where everyone can feel they can really do their best because their contributions matter. Everyone has potential characteristics that they can bring to the table. We need that. We need young talent in the organization because We need more creativity, more productivity, better results. Unfortunately, this is an area where more studies are being conducted by the World Trade, by the Labor Organization, McKinsey. They show that G organizations are more successful in embracing diversity, in making people feel like they are a part of the organization. They deliver better results than the ones who don't. We see it with the actions we're putting forward, the organization directly, the feedback we get from our teams do indicate we're moving forward and the results are tangible. We are at a moment where the organization is growing. We have positive growth, good services, good breakthroughs, and I am convinced it will be supported specifically by the diversity and talent of a diverse company already. You have been doing many things in this regard, Juan, in Mexico. You have worked on the Pink Line. Beyond the anecdote, it could mean that it sends a powerful message throughout the organization.
Yes, and I think the complicated question is how we don't like how can we push this diversity not only as a fashion but like it has to have its origin in something true, like for it to become a culture, a culture on how we work. Which will be your suggestion, like to have all the teams in the region, mainly the one regarding transportation, but these teams, how should we embrace this diversity, the impulse of diversity, and not just fall in a fashion-like thing with a lot of stereotypes?
I think these sort of changes can be materialized permanently once they become a part of the culture. When you make sure it is not just a program, it is not just an agenda aimed for a purpose, but something endorsed throughout the organization that permeates all of the areas in which we are involved. This is what we are aiming for at the end of the day, making it a part of the internal culture of the organization, fostering it as a reality. I have said plenty of times our motto, Together Unstoppable. This is a very powerful message in our organization. We all feel a part of it, we all contribute to this. And we have been working on taking these initiatives to all of the points where we are present. What makes me feel more confident about this is the positive endorsement shown in the organization. All levels participate, all levels share their vision as well as the impact they see. And also the sentiment of liberation that it brings to everyone. In the past, working in an organizational scheme that was a lot more restrictive, I don't know, like old school, old fashioned, all of those concepts of change we see currently demand a lot of flexibility, diversity, and working in that way, in that open way with all the teams is the perfect environment for flexibility. It makes us all be adaptable to the different lenses through which we see reality, and we put together the need of a continuous change in the market with the changes in the way of working internally in organizations. They match perfectly and they will make change durable over time.
So much, Javier. And what you were mentioning, the risk is that we have with this talk is that we can move on for hours and hours to continue with this. And echoing your comment in the beginning of this talk, maybe we can open the floor so you can show us the video that you were talking about, and after that we'll come back to some questions. Let's go with the video.
Vamos allá.
Let's play the video.
Que mundo queremos entregar para o
What
futuro?
world do we want to leave behind
São
for the
nossas
future?
atitudes de hoje que carregam a transformação do amanhã. A sustentabilidade está em nossa rota.
Sustainability
Porque não
is in our
basta
path.
transportar com cuidado.
It is not enough
É
just to be
preciso
careful in
transportar com
transportation.
consciência.
We have
Nossos
to do it
clientes
with
concordam
awareness
com a gente.
so that we agree
Temos
with our
orgulho de
customers. That is the
transportar
reason why we
produtos
feel
de
proud
empresas
to
como o Grupo
carry
Boticário, com
products
nossa
such as
frota de
Grupo
veículos
Boticario
elétricos,
with our fleet of
conectando a
electric
indústria ao
vehicles,
ponto de
connecting
venda
the
para
industry
levar beleza
and the
de
point
jeito
of sales
inovador e
for a
sustentável
better
todos os
innovation
dias.
and a sustainable future on a daily
Seja qual
basis.
for o destino, nós
Whatever
já
the
demos a partida.
destination might be, we start from the
esse
beginning
é o mundo que
because
queremos
this
entregar no
is the
futuro.
world we want to live for the future.
DHL Supply Chain, conectando
DHL
pessoas
Supply
e
Chain,
melhorando vidas.
connecting people and improving lives.
Javier, Juan, thank you very much for your participation. I want to thank you for sharing this very, very positive view on the sector and what will come in the future. As you can imagine, these 30 minutes have generated a lot of questions from the audience, so we'll ask a few now. How does it come down to earth with customers, like migrating to hybrid or electric vehicles?
Javier, would you like to answer the
claro que
to the
sí.
question? By all
Yo
means.
creo que hablábamos antes, DHL por un lado está haciendo
We said that
un
DHL on the
esfuerzo
one
por,
hand is
hacer una serie de inversiones
making an
que
effort
ayuden al
on
desarrollo
having
del
investments
mercado de
aimed
las
to
actividades
helping the
vehículos
development of the
eléctricos.
market
Vemos
and the
cómo nuestros
activities
clientes
with
están
electric
queriendo también,
vehicles. We see
hacer
our
ese camino y lo hacemos
customers
juntos.
wanting
Yo creo
to
que es el
go
mismo
with that
enfoque que tenemos,
down that way,
igual
and we
también con
want to
nuestros
do it
partners,
together. This is the focus we have with our partners,
rutas,
identifying
momentos en los cuales la utilización
paths,
de estos vehículos puede hacer
identifying
más sentido y
the
comprometernos
moments
en
when it
proyectos a
makes the
medio y largo
most
plazo
sense to
que hagan que
commit
las
ourselves
inversiones,
with
puedan
middle
ser
or
recuperadas
long-term
y
investments,
que nos
always
ayuden
bearing in mind the
a
return on
avanzar
investment,
juntos,
of
a
course.
construir
The idea
un
is to
mejor
move
entendimiento de
together,
cómo
is to
aplicar,
move forward together. We need
tipo, cuándo aplicar ese tipo de vehículos y poco a
to
poco ir
know
ayudando a
when
que
this
se
is
vaya
relevant
construyendo la
using these
infraestructura
vehicles,
que esté
and
lo-
as
lo haga
infrastructure
posible.
for this
Al final,
is built, it will become
resumen
more
para
and
mí
more
siempre es,
possible.
Colaboración,
Overall, it all
trabajar,
comes down to
cada vez más
collaboration.
Estamos en un mundo cada vez más
Working
interdependiente
closer and closer
y entre
together
todos
makes
tenemos
sense.
que,
We are in an
encontrar
interconnected
formas
world,
de confiar,
so we
de-
must find a
de
way to
avanzar
trust each
juntos
other,
y hacer
to move
que
forward
realmente,
together,
el modelo siga avanzando y
and
avanzando a
to
la velocidad
drive
que
the
nos está
model
pidiendo el mercado.
forward at the speed the market demands.
Thank you, Javier. And we have another question from the audience, and it is, when you serve different sectors in logistics, so which are the points where all industries meet and which are the common challenges?
Perfecto. Yo diría, donde más coinciden es que
I would say
hay
when they
muchas más
when they
similitudes,
touch each
o
other the most
similitudes de lo
is when there are
que
similarities.
podemos pensar,
There are a
¿no?
lot more similarities that we could think of
El-
sometimes,
Sobre todo cuando estamos hablando en transporte,
especially when talking about
el-
transportation.
existen diferencias a veces cuando hay requerimientos
There are
específicos
different
del mercado,
requirements
o de las,
from the
autoridades
market
en cuanto
or
a,
from the authorities
temperaturas, en
when it
cuanto a
comes to
separación de ciertos productos, etcétera.
temperatures,
Pero
separating
en
certain
la mayoría
products,
de
and
casos,
so on. But for
la
most
forma en la que
cases,
se conducen, las actividades son muy
the way in
parecidas.
which
Las
these
necesidades
activities
de
are carried
visibilidad,
out are
información,
very different. Visibility,
de,
information,
planificación de rutas, etcétera,
route
son muy
planning,
parecidas.
they
Lo
are
que estamos
all
viendo
very
es,
similar.
obviamente,
What
cuando
we
uno
see today,
consigue,
however, is that
unificar puntos de entrega que sean
when we
comunes,
manage to unify
hacer
common
compatibles
delivery
puntos de
points,
origen y
once they
destino,
are compatible origin and
que consiguen
destination
sinergias
points,
rápidas
we create quick
que los
synergies.
clientes, obviamente, necesitan que implementemos
And of course, the
rápidamente, ¿no?
customers need
Quizás
us
uno
to
de los
implement
desafíos
it
que hemos
quickly.
tenido
One of
siempre
the
en
main
el sector
challenges
es
we've
las
always
reticencias
had
de
in the
algunos
sector
clientes en compartir
is the
redes en
the pushback of certain customers when it comes to sharing networks, perhaps due to the loss of a certain competitive advantage, especially when they are the larger customers. They don't want to share as much with their competitors. But what we see is that we need to fit each piece in its place. In that way, we make sure everybody wins. It is not just about the cost. We win when it comes to CO2 emissions, utilization of the increasingly scarce resources. We know at any moment we can run short on vehicles, we are short on drivers, and the more synergies we have, the better we will respond to those needs. Especially when talking about CO2. We've talked about it very much, but we haven't measured, we haven't tested as much. As we show that sharing resources reduces significantly the CO2 footprint, we will have customers and the market want to join this initiative of sharing resources.
No doubt about it, Javier. And I would like to share something. How is that you assimilate these trends?
A ver, tenemos una serie de tendencias, como dices,
There is a series of trends of innovation, new capacities, which are shared and analyzed at a global level. What we need to do is understand the circumstances of each region. Infrastructure is not the same, labor cost is not the same throughout the different regions. This is something we talked about last year. There are certain developments when it comes to data management, management of information and little assets that are not as costly and are equally applicable irrespective of where we are. This is where I see that in Latin America we are making the best progress. At the level of artificial intelligence, automated robots for processes. In Latin America, we know we cannot invest as much in other sort of physical innovation. So in this regard, we are making heavy investments. And I love to see that our region is the spearhead when compared to the other regions for this type of developments. It is precisely the investment on utilization of data, information extraction, decision-making, utilization of assets, and so on. This is where we are moving forward the fastest. And also related to one of the driving engines is standardization. Juan said it and I said it before as well. Together, unstoppable. Yes, another powerful message we repeat throughout the organization is we are one. And it is helping speed up the speed of change. In this day and age, we need to be reinventing ourselves constantly and we need to work on everything. Being capable of operating in a more standardized fashion throughout the region, we will be able to open hubs for innovation in different countries. And something to display that a certain development is duplicable, we do so in the whole region. The innovation corners have been quite useful, that's how we call it. We have set them up in Peru, Chile, Brazil, Mexico, Colombia. And the investments we have made on digitalization and innovation in the region. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when I say we have 30 million euros reserved specifically for innovation and development in the region, especially focused on digitalization and data utilization.
Well, thank you, Javier. Have some questions that we didn't read, but time is primordial here, so we need to move on with our agenda. So, thank you both for sharing this space with us, and we are sure that your vision has enriched many of our perspectives. And thank you, Juan, Javier, and thank you for everyone who has joined us during this session. For the next days, you will be receiving a survey in your email. Please answer it and share your comments with us so we can consider your suggestions for future editions. We still have one panel for today's agenda, so please continue with us in the event. And yes, Sergio, so we just have a little break and we'll be back in 30 minutes for our last panel of the day, Inbound Manufacturing, the solution towards an effective transportation. We'll come right back. Thank you.
Thank you very much and warm regards.